Welcome back, everybody. We're going to finish our 1.1 notes today. And for example 3, we're going to talk about solving equations for a specific variable. So we're basically writing a new equation without substituting values. Solving for t. This is a simple interest formula. Here's t right here. Right now, we are multiplying p and r to t. The opposite of multiplying by p and r is to divide by p and r. That reduces the p and the r over on the right side so that our new equation will be I over p times r is equal to t. For example B, we want to solve for p. And right now, I have two p's, and they're on opposite sides of the equal sign. The first thing that I want to do then is move both p's to the same side. Opposite of subtracting p is adding p. So I'm going to add p over to the right. So we have a is equal to. Now, I can't actually add the p and the PRT. They aren't like terms. So instead, we're just going to write them like this. Now I can work on getting p alone. You notice that for each term, it has a common factor of p. So we're going to take out that common factor of p, which means we're dividing by p from both terms. Simplifies out on the left side, leaving us with RT plus p divided by p is 1. Now I have p times this whole expression of RT plus 1. The opposite of multiplying by that whole expression is to divide by that whole expression on both sides. Reduces that out from the right. So we have a over RT plus 1 is equal to p. Last but not least, we're looking at example C, and we want to solve for x. Well, I can't combine these x's right now until I get this out of the parentheses. So we'll start with distributing. 3 times 2x is 6x, and 3 times negative 5a is negative 15a. Oops, and we still have that plus 4b and 4x minus 2. Now we have to get our x's together, and we can either move the 4 or the 6. It's not going to matter. So let's go ahead and move the 4. I'm going to subtract 4 from both sides. So 2x minus 15a plus 4b is equal to negative 2. Now I can work on getting this x alone. Right now we're subtracting 15a and adding 4b. The opposite is to add 4a and subtract 4b to both sides. So these add to 0 on the left, leaving us with 2x. Now remember, none of these on the right are like terms, so the only thing we can do is just write them all down next to each other. Our last step to get x alone is divide by 2. And remember, we have to divide all terms by 2. When we do that, these two simplify to just x. Negative 2 over 2 is negative 1. 15 halves I cannot divide evenly or reduce, so we're going to leave that as 15 halves a. And then 4 divided by 2 is 2b. And so this would be solving for x. All right, simple interest formula. When we're talking about simple interest formula, these are interest formulas that calculate how much interest we've earned or we owe each year. So I stands for interest. It's the amount that we have accrued, either that we owe or that we're adding to our initial amount each year. P stands for the principal, which is the initial amount, either the initial amount that you've borrowed or the initial amount that you've deposited. R stands for the interest rate, always in decimal form. So the interest rate is given in percents. We've given you this reminder here that we move the decimal 2 places to the left when we're changing it from percent to decimal. And then T stands for time, typically in years. So if we're looking at this example about borrowing $52.40 for new furniture, and it wants to know how much interest will she pay. So looking at the interest formula, we have I is equal to our principal. What's the initial amount that she borrowed? It's $52.40. Times the interest rate in decimal form. Well, our interest rate is 4.5%. So we move that decimal over twice, and our decimal is 0.045. And then the amount of time is 11 months. Well, 11 months isn't a year. I can't put times 11 because that would mean that I'm multiplying by 11 years rather than 11 months. So there are 12 months in a year. I could write that as 11 twelfths for 11 twelfths of a year. I'm going to go ahead and put all of that in our calculator, and that'll give us the amount of interest that she would owe. That's it for our notes today. Have a great evening. We'll see you next time.